This stream contains fast flashing images that may affect viewers who are susceptible to photosensitive epilepsy or other photosensitivities. Viewer discretion is advised.
Today, we'll get our first glimpse at Group D and 4 more teams fighting for the sport's biggest prize. Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Day 4 of Champions Seoul. Coming at you live from the... where are we again?
We're at the COEX Shinhan Card Artium.
Say that 5 times fast.
I prefer not to.
And that's so fair.
Of course, I'm Golden Boy here today with Achilleos and Mimi as we break everything down. It's been a pretty fun opening to this event so far.
What was Wingman doing down on the stage?
Yeah,
chilling.
Having a good time?
Vibing out in the center.
He's gone now.
Yeah, he's gone, never to be seen again. Probably afraid because you keep threatening to eat him.
That only happened twice.
Yeah.
And neither take was actually a risk to him because neither happened.
That's true, until it does. And then,
but I won't promise it again.
Yeah.
It's run its course.
The girl who cried.
She's my friend now. We're
Consumption
chill.
of Wingman.
Yeah, I don't know why. I just don't believe her. In any case, so let's go ahead and do a quick recap of Day 3. We got to see the debut of Group C, and we had Leviathan taking on Talon, and then Trace Esports doing the unthinkable and getting an upset win over Vitality. But man, the way things started off here, Mimi, with this Talon left game was great.
It had upset vibes to begin. I think that Talon came in with a really off-kilter comp, showing for the first time some Yoru and Neon looks on Bind. It was super cool, but Leviathan Map 2 had it in control. This second series, though, a completely different scenario. I mean, Trace, I think, exceeded expectations by so much here, and you saw how much it meant to these guys.
Yeah. No, definitely was. It was incredible to see them achieve that first debut here on the world stage, and Trace, shuts down all the doubters.
Yeah, I mean, it's the first outing for the majority of those players, and to be able to come out and then take down a number 2 seed, to be able to have that win, something that we saw, a lot of the other Chinese squads really have to fight and wait for them to come out in the first matchup and be able to take it. I mean, you could see that relief, you could see that elation that was on the face. I mean, tears were shed. People were saying, bro, why is he crying? It's only one game. I'm like, no, that's the point. It is one game. It's the first game. Of course he's crying. He's over the moon.
Yeah, only one of their players has ever played at a global event before. Beyond everyone else was new. This is something fresh for them, and everyone had no expectations for this team. They're the 3rd seed from China, and they just got a massive win. I mean, you can't not be happy for them. Also, the way they do it. It's not like it was about one massive individual popping off or, a huge choke from Vitality. It was some really good, honest Valorant on Bind and Ascent. Their fundamentals looked on point. Those guys are good.
Yeah, they look fantastic. I'm excited to see what we get from Trace. But for now, though, let's look at our pick'ems powered by AWS. And based off of yesterday, I think it's safe to say Trace kind of screwed up a lot of people's pick'ems. But hey, you love to see it, honestly, man. When a team wears it on their sleeve like that on the main stage, it's a beautiful thing to see, man.
Yeah, I mean, break my pick'ems every day of the week if we're going to get results like that. If we're going to see emotions like that from the players, my pick'ems don't matter.
Yeah.
Seeing moments like that, it's great. If you have to question why there's tears on those players' faces, get some joy in your life.
Yeah, ain't that the truth? A lot of people need that in this day and age. All right, well, look, folks, we've only seen 3 days of competition, but Group D is going to be taking the stage in just a little bit. So now's a perfect time to, do something that we never do here on the desk, and that is some good old-fashioned overreactions. That's right. I've never been known to overreact after
Not
things
about
happening.
crew, map 1 especially.
Never
gloating too early, an honest man.
I've never overreacted about anything.
What's on your notebook there?
They're not even playing today and you're talking about DRX. This is incredible.
Look, what can I say? I needed a new notebook. There was 2 in the shop. The other one was T1s and it didn't look as cool.
Wait, they sold them at a store?
Yeah.
Like out in the world or here?
Here.
Okay, that makes more sense.
I just had to go downstairs.
I was like, how pervasive is esports in Korea? I know it was quite, but...
Random thing, real quick aside, we actually we were in the train and we saw a Faker ad, for some chicken joint.
There you
So
go.
pretty awesome. Esports, of course, continuing to grow. All right, well, let's do some overreaction, shall we? Now, this one's going to be from DRVFM. And they say Gen G have already won champions, and everyone else should just go home.
You know what? Based,
Ooh.
I fully, wholeheartedly
I've seen
agree.
this guy like 12,000 times on Twitter because he did like the paying for it thing where you're at the top and
Yeah,
also
yeah.
comments on every post. But that's not important, and I don't know why I'm saying that.
Called out in 4K.
Know that you've been noticed. That blue check mark is getting its work in.
Yeah, Gen G is, they're playing some incredible Valorant. I think they're the favorite for the tournament. Should everyone else go home?
Go home?
No.
No.
No, but that's also not a real opinion.
Fine, we'll play it out.
If we got to.
We'll let them have their little fun on stage before Gen G takes it all.
Yeah, all right. So there's one overreaction. Not, a little bit hit or miss. Okay, here's our next one, though. All right, we got Snack VLR saying Lev or PRX is gonna win champs.
Now, this
Extremely loud, incorrect buzzer.
Yeah, this one I cannot agree with at all. I think that Lev, they played a close series. They were able to get the victory yesterday. I think that they should have been able to take that series way easier than they did.
Sure.
And for PaperX, that's more of a I have to wait and see type deal. But with Gen G in the form that they're in, given that they were able to take them down
To
recently.
say that without even seeing PaperX play, though.
Yeah, I'm not as colored on as you are, of my opinion, off of that first game from Lev. My stocks haven't dropped for them that much off that. I think map 2 is pretty clean. I always give teams that leeway to kind of warm up at globals,
Yeah.
but I think Gen G is the favorite, and I don't see the case for PaperX yet. I think they have kind of a problem in big games. We saw it in the lower finals that they lost in a reverse sweep, and we've seen it in every other finals at every global event ever. So saying they're going to win it is a little
You
little
just have
crazy
to be a
at this point.
big PaperX fan to make that jump right now, especially when Gen G exists in the universe.
Yeah.
You know?
You're not a Pacific fan. You are a PaperX fan.
Exactly. And hey, you know what? There's nothing
I
wrong with
respect
that, baby. Do what you got
They're
to
an easy
do.
team to be a fan of.
Cheer who you want to cheer for. I love W Gaming all day, baby. All right, well, speaking of W Gaming, let's go ahead and take a look at the schedule, shall we? Because we got ourselves a couple of great matches. We have G2 Esports taking on PaperX, and then after that, it'll be EDG going up against Foot Esports. And two excellent games. What a great way to close out the group, our first few
The
days.
debuts.
The debuts for our groups here. And I really have no idea how any of these matches are going to go.
I frankly don't either. Maybe
it's a good feeling.
It's a good feeling, but it also makes me feel like I'm doing something wrong, given that I'm here on the analyst desk.
Yeah,
but
you're fine.
this is going to be a bit of a toss-up, I think, coming into this
yeah.
next one, because G2 obviously they were able to get the upper hand over PaperX previously, but does that rebound come through here?
I mean,
for
remember
PaperX?
the way it happened too. PaperX started map 1 up 11-1. It ended up not being the cleanest closeout, but they close out, and then map 2 and 3 was like a huge G2 resurgence.
Yeah,
I don't think anyone expected them to win that game going in, but how much does that shift expectations now for their second showing on a global stage,
That's right.
where they've now proved themselves back in Shanghai?
Yeah, and then of course, you're going to get EDG and Foot, and you get Kong Kong on stage, CNET on stage. It's going to be exciting. Speaking of CNET, he's one of 4 players here that have the potential, if they win it all, to get that second World Championship. So, is there a probability history can be made? 1-4. It's actually not that bad. I mean, well, not 1-4, but
That's
you know
really
what I mean.
not how
That's not-
probability.
Listen, I don't know math. Okay, I failed that part.
But that's just, even if you had done the math properly, that would have just been like the proportion of players who have won before.
Why?
We both
know I'm dumb, Mimi.
Yeah, look, he's also old. I dropped out.
Which is also,
avoid
it's only
statistics.
4 out of 80 players at the event.
Okay.
Which
Well,
is-
that's a lot of
Yeah.
players, and very few that can lift the second trophy. It will be incredible to see if anybody's
Yeah.
been able to do it. I mean, obviously, Chronicle was kind of
5% of the players have won before.
boom, she got
I
it.
think.
But obviously, Chronicle was kind of that first one to be able to get multiple trophies. No one had really been able to do it before him. I knew that this was going to be an unhinged desk when I came out here.
But that doesn't mean
always
there's a
is.
5% chance
Yeah.
one wins again.
Yes, that's right. That's right, Leroy Jenkins. So,
That was 33.3% repeating, of course.
very true. I'm so sorry. The numbers are confusing me, people. But we want to know what you guys think at home, all right? Who you think has the potential to be our first 2-time champion? Is it going to be CNET, Icebox, Com, or Saucy? scan the QR code, cast your vote, and we'll love to hear the results later.
I think it's got to be
I
Icebox
wonder if there was
or
a
Saucer.
none of the above category.
That's what
if
I was
any-
about
yeah.
to ask. Like, do we have an option for none of them? Because
Just don't vote.
I mean, given the Gen G train here, I'm thinking that it's going to be none of them.
Yeah.
I'm with Mimi. I'm still not. Jury's not out on left for me. So I don't know. Calm and Icebox are, and they,
I mean, the way Calm was playing, to be real for a second, the way Calm was playing yesterday was like he wants to win it again. Icebox as well stepping up. In my mind, that's the team with the best chance over a Foot or a Sentinels, but anything can happen.
Always got to remember that quote, though, from Karon, talking about Loud in particular, but applies to all of them. When they won their trophies, I was not competing.
ooh.
That line always goes so hard.
I mean, I'll go front. That's some heat right there.
There's a lot of players
When's
here
the
who weren't
mixtape dropping?
competing
I
back
mean,
then.
it does apply to a lot.
When-
But
Yeah.
he's finally got that trophy.
I need to know when the mixtape's dropping. All right, folks. Well, G2 Esports, of course, making their appearance on the champ stage ahead of their debut. So we caught up with the IGL Valyn and, of course, the man of last season, Leaf, to play a game to test their communication skills, their camaraderie. Let's check it out.
All right, I'm joined by G2 Valyn, G2 Leaf, live in the flesh here in Seoul for Champs 2024. And we're going to play a little game here. It's called Reverse Charades. And it's not actually that. It doesn't have both charades and charades in it. I'm just doing the different pronunciation, you know what I mean? Like US, UK, that type of beat. These guys, they didn't know how the game was played. But that's not a problem because we're not playing charades, we're playing reverse charades. So, what I'm going to say is, here's how it works for the audience at home. The person pulls out a category out, there's a little bowl, glass bowl here, and it could be Valorant related, it could be not Valorant related. We don't actually know yet. Let's get this started.
Both your hands up.
We're going to do 30 seconds time. I'm going to swap positions as well. It's your turn. Switch it up. Valyn, you're the one who's going to be gesturing. You're going to be commanding him. Pick it out.
All right.
Make
Do I
sure
show
it's
the
nice
camera?
and good. Yeah, show the camera as well. Don't look, Valyn. Thank
Not
you.
looking.
Okay, good. What are we looking at here? Oh boy! Wait,
Oh,
what?
That's awesome.
Huh? Okay.
So, all right, Jake, I'm
All
ready.
right.
I hope you're ready. Okay. I hope this isn't cheating. Pretend you're Omen. Oh, sorry.
Okay.
Yeah.
30 seconds.
Pretend you're Omen.
Okay.
All right. You're using one of your abilities, right? And you are putting an object down to block vision.
Oh, I'm throwing a
maybe,
smoke.
yeah.
Dude, he hit it in one.
I'm
Okay.
throwing a
I'm
smoke.
not gonna lie.
Smoke.
That was a little bit too easy because you were
I
like,
feel like
you're,
that was kinda
you're
like-
Omen and you're throwing like okay, but that's pretty
Wait, did
good.
I
You got it in
say
one.
throwing? I said
No.
Did I say
You didn't
util?
say throwing. You're like placing an object. I think
Oh,
that's
yeah.
fine. I think that's
placing an
reasonable. Anyway,
object that gets rid of.
We don't have much
Yeah.
time. We're gonna
All
swap
right,
this
all
up.
right,
Keep
all
going.
right.
But that
Where
was
should I
good. You
put-
got
where
that.
should I put this?
All
That
right.
was nice. Well, just give it to me. I'll
Is it
find
my turn?
Yeah,
Okay,
it's
good.
your turn. I'll
All
eat
right,
it
all
later.
right,
Don't
all
worry.
right.
All right,
Is he
let's
doing
go.
it for me? It's just us two? You
Yeah,
were just doing the
just do
example?
that. I don't think I'm allowed to play anymore. I think I butchered the intro. So
All right, I'm not looking. I'm not looking.
don't
Tell me
look.
when you're ready. Tell me when you're ready.
what is
This is insane.
Oh, okay.
I will
I
all
don't
those
even know
words.
what
Okay.
to say.
Are you ready? Are you ready?
Hands behind your
Um,
back. Hands behind your back.
Yeah.
You don't have to have your hands behind your back.
I know, but
It's okay.
it's a nice neutral
right.
spot.
Put your hands out like you're holding a weapon.
Like,
A Valorant weapon.
yeah, like a gun.
Yes.
A weapon.
And when you run out of ammo, what do you do?
Reload a weapon.
I mean,
So I'm just like, you know,
I
taking
think,
the
I think it's
magazine
good.
out.
Honestly, you got. I don't know. Do we need to set more rules in
I feel
motion?
like the rules are like,
It's like a little bit too easy, no?
Maybe,
maybe,
we can't
like-
describe the action.
Yeah, I don't think. I think you got to describe the hand motion.
All right, hard mode
So,
now.
all
Hard
right, you
mode
want to go
now.
again? You want to
All right.
swap it around? Swap it around. Swap it around. Swap it around.
All right.
Here we go. I'm supposed to be the
Dude, I
moderator
don't even
here.
know
I
what
can't
to
do it.
say.
All right.
I can't do it. All right. We got one
Ooh,
more.
All right, I'm not
okay.
looking.
We got one more in us.
Yo, make it hard. Like,
Okay.
give me like
Yeah,
a
yeah.
weird.
Show the camera.
Nice.
Show the camera. This was quite difficult.
I feel like, okay, I'm good. You can like me.
All right.
All right.
30
Have your
seconds.
hands out in a motion where you're like a totem.
A totem?
Yeah, like on top of one another. Put your hands on top of one another.
Okay.
And then imagine you or just put like do like a downward motion, like you're striking down.
Like a spear?
Yeah. Yeah. No. Just straight down, okay? You're putting something down. Like
10 seconds.
a totem, basically. See, now this is a little hard
it's
now.
harder. It's so
now
much
a little
harder.
bit harder.
Like I'm putting.
That's the motion you're doing to put
Yeah.
this thing down.
You're like slamming it
Planting
down.
the spike.
No.
Oh, kind of close, kind of close.
Defusing the spike.
No.
Time's up. Time's up. We'll get a buzzer sound in post or something. I'm not too sure, but
That's
yeah,
good.
that's no, it wasn't that. It was You want to reveal
Killjoy
it?
Ultimate.
Yeah, it's
Like,
Killjoy
putting on
Ultimate.
Killjoy.
Yeah.
Because you know, like when you go like with it, but like I don't want to say like you're putting down an ability.
Putting down an object that it actually detains people.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean,
Like, that'd be
that
way
would've just
too
given it
hard.
away immediately, but that was
I
pretty
feel like
good.
it's
I'm not gonna lie.
yeah, I feel like it's more fun.
Yeah,
that
when we
way.
put the limitations in place.
Yeah.
Anyway, may have butchered the segment. We're definitely not running this one back again, but we're going to send it back to the desk. Nevertheless, thank you very much, G2, Valyn, and Lee, for sending it back now. See you later.
And a fun fact, that is the thing that got Brent fired. So it's crazy.
Yeah.
It was a good run he had.
Seth, right after this, is going to have to run over and catch with Josh for the second series.
Pretty
now
much.
that Brent's gone. Yeah.
It's a shame, but you know,
be the
we
first
just
time
had
I've done
to
this back and forth.
We just had to, you know, cut him out, man.
I think Valyn's face trying to figure out that Killjoy like that. He's never struggled harder trying to get a read on a team in game compared to that.
That was the hardest part of the event for him.
Yeah, that was it. The biggest challenge you'll ever face.
I actually don't think Brent
All downhill
understands
from
what
here.
reverse charades are, but they figured it out.
They got there, sort of, in the end. All right, guys.
And good on them for that.
Well, we're starting the day off with yet another Shanghai rematch. It's almost like these teams have qualified for multiple global events. That's crazy. And of course, G2's got that more measured style of play, and we all know and love PACIFIC is aggressive. We say it 500,000 times, W Gaming. But the thing is that, you know, G2 has had the number here of PACIFIC. Is this going to be history repeating itself again, Seth, based on what you've seen from PACIFIC throughout, you know, Stage 2 and Pacific?
I want to say going into this, it's going to be a very different look, and that's not to discredit, you know, the efforts of G2 because they are an incredibly strong team. One of the things that we were noticing from G2 pretty much in their entire run throughout Shanghai was, okay, maybe a bit of a rocky first map. That download comes through from Valyn. He really gets an understanding about how the enemy team likes to, you know, come at them. And then he's able to counteract it.
Yeah.
So his reads are immaculate, but the mistakes that we were seeing from PACIFIC have very much been tightened up. And I would say that even with the loss versus DRX, that reverse sweep they were able to pull off against them in the lower final of Stage 2 in Pacific, that was less of PACIFIC falling back into their slump and making mistakes, and more so it was DRX really getting a solid grasp, similar to how G2 got one over them in Shanghai.
I'm hearing dissension.
I still think that if G2 are playing in their best form, and when we talk about their best form, it's having a really good read, it's having really structured ideas, not making mistakes, individuals not going off on their own. They match up really well against PACIFIC.
Yeah.
PACIFIC barely plays meta comps. They're almost always playing comps that are like exploitative instead of optimal, that aren't necessarily the perfect comp, but they play it really well.
Yeah.
And the implementation can catch teams off guard and also have their own gimmicks that can work really well. And that's not to say those comps are bad. They're good. But against a team like G2, whose strength, I think, is Valyn and Josh going in ahead of time, figuring out what are the holes in our opponent's game plan, in their composition, they are really good at finding those opportunities where, because PACIFIC are taking risks in playing something different, in playing their unique style, they do leave those holes sometimes. And I think G2 is the team, if they're playing the way they did in Americas, to find that.
No, I don't disagree with that at all. I just think that you're going to see significantly fewer holes to be exploited here by G2 in the game plan from the side of PACIFIC compared to that first clash. I mean, you think about those maps that were played, that opening split, fairly dominant and one-sided for the side of PACIFIC, but then into a very close map too. If PACIFIC are going to be operating at a similar level and making fewer mistakes like we were seeing from them in Stage 2, then that 13-10 scoreline could very much be turned around in PACIFIC's favor.
And let's be real, PACIFIC kind of choked the first time they played against G2. They were up 11-1 on map 1, and then map 2 and 3 was rough.
I'm not allowed to say it. I'm contractually obligated and banned from using those words about my teams.
Okay. This guy, the fix is in. All right, well, let's go ahead and hear what Jonah P had to say as he's getting ready for his matchup against PACIFIC coming to the arena for our Champs Draw show, actually.
G2, Jonah, brother, you're going up against W Gaming in PACIFIC. That is just, and you're familiar with those guys. I mean,
very familiar.
What do you think of this matchup, man?
I mean, they're a great team, but they're bigger chokers than we are, so.
Well, firstly, apologies for the confusion on that, but also
me when I'm in a losing a best out of 5 competition, and my competition is PACIFIC and G2.
What I also think is really funny is, like, so he's saying, oh, they are chokers, but they're bigger chokers, but they're both just chokers.
I mean, let's be real.
I know.
The BO5 curse for both these teams has been it's been legit.
Yeah, it truly has been. Of course, here's G2 Esports coming to this one, #2 seed from Americas. And another incredible feat, though, for this team. The only Ascension team that has made it here to Champions. They were slugging it out in Tier 2 last year, and now they're here playing for a World Championship, Achilleos.
No, I mean, it's been an incredible run, and the development here for this squad across the year has just been absolutely fantastic. The big thing that I'm going to be looking for from them here from the outset is just a little bit more consistency, because we did see some shakiness. Overall, G2 was very solid over at Shanghai, but we did have those games where Icy wasn't popping, Leaf wasn't able to go on these crazy walkabouts where he's getting these wild flanks and then just getting multi-kill rounds time and time again.
Look at this graphic, though.
Wild.
Every other Ascension team, 9th place, 11th place, 10th place. G2 makes it to the finals in Stage 2. They make it to the finals in Stage 1. They make it top 3 at Masters Shanghai. They are an utter anomaly when it comes to the other teams that were playing in Tier 2. And you look back a year ago from today, G2 had just won Ascension, and they were in a position where they didn't even know if they would be playing in partnerships the next year. Their org, the guard back then, ended up not continuing. They didn't know if they'd make it in. They had to find a new org. They had to, have roster changes, and Tex leave the team for an offer at Leviathan. But despite all that adversity, they figured it out. They made it to Americas under a new organization, made some risks in picking up new players, but it has all worked out so well for these boys to now legitimately be one of the best teams in the world.
Yeah, I mean, no matter how you slice it, these guys are coming into this one as threats. And one of the reasons why is because of their IGL Valyn, who's the big brain of the team. He actually caught some words with Mika Fabs earlier today. Let's check it out.
Hey Valyn, how are you? It's nice to see you. Got lots of fans out there. It's been quite a year for you guys. And when you reflect on the journey that you've had so far, like through Ascension, and now you guys are the only Ascension team to make it to the global stage, why do you think this team, this core, has stayed together for so long?
I think we knew since the beginning. We had good results even when we first formed the team. We knew we had something special. The personalities on the team, we all clicked, at least the core. And results kept coming, and we kept working hard, becoming better individuals in and out the server. So I think we understood that we made each other better every single year, and so it would be a foolish decision for us to kind of leave each other when we had the constant growth every year. And now that it all paid off, we're making international events. I'm so happy to do it with these guys, and hopefully we can take off with some more wins.
Well, best of luck. That's really wholesome, and I love the fit.
Thank you.
And despite Valyn's humbleness, I mean, this is a guy, though, who is a demon in the server sometimes. Absolute pop-off performances, not just, clicking heads, but also with his strategy. I mean, the guy is doing so much on this team. And that's not to take anything away from the rest of G2. It just goes to show the strength of this player, what he brings to the table, the quality that he brings. It truly is impressive. He, Controller of the Year and IGL of the Year, voted, in MVP for Americas.
Yeah, I mean, look, I've made some jokes on the Pacific broadcast about lack of fragging IGLs in comparison to Munchkin, but Valyn kind of is that guy. He is that one that really can step up to the plate, but also is just a fantastic leader and can do a very good job of just keeping everybody's heads in the game. Because the biggest thing that I think about for G2 with their run in Shanghai is perseverance. Think about that, that Ascent, I think it was, that they had versus
the amount
Heretics.
of comebacks was ridiculous.
It was absolutely astounding. So many other squads would already just be like, okay, this one's a wash. Let's just get this out of our heads and focus up for the next one. No, they stuck in, they went to the grindstone, and they were able to close out that map.
It's a tough team.
And obviously you can never know how much an IGL or whatever is doing behind the scenes, but what we do know is when the players talk about Valyn, they talk about what a fantastic leader he is, how much he brings to this roster. And when you talk to him, we've worked a lot with the guy. He is so mature, he is so responsible, and he is such just a student of the game in the way he's constantly VOD reviewing, constantly learning, and all of that is beyond his own ridiculous individual performances. I think he's the best individual player on the team beyond just the external stuff he's doing as well.
The dude's a sponge. Genuinely, he's a sponge. When we worked with him, he takes everything in so fast, and he's able to really understand it in a way that
If he was a less good IGL Jelly take our jobs.
Yeah, honestly, and I won't be mad. I'd be happy for him. Real talk. But in any case, though, let's go ahead and look at the other side of the stage, because you got PRX. Now, this is a team finished 3rd in Pacific, and it was their worst placement ever for this squad. But the thing is, though, is that you got a very, competitive game Pacific region right now. PRX really trying to find what is going to work. And I think the question is, can this team, guys, go on a run here in Korea?
Look, it's certainly possible, but first I do want to quantify that. Worst placement within Pacific. They were able to get the trophy last year. They go to kickoff finals, they go to stage 1 finals, win that, and then they fall shy of the mark after DRX defeats them. But this is still that team that is a bit anomalous, and it's always difficult to say, like, yes, they have it, because it feels like every time you really have a ton of confidence in them, that's when they fall the most. But when you start to be like, okay, they're looking shaky, I don't know if they're gonna be able to pull it off, they're still doing these weird comps, that's when they do go on those runs.
Yeah.
It's incredible that they're still like this, though, after all this time
It's
of
in their
following.
DNA.
I think it's proof that no matter how much people can't quantify what they do, no matter how much stuff they do looks honestly dumb when you see it happen, they execute on things so well. They have such a strong conviction in the team's ideas, in the comps they want to play, and they have such talented players that no matter, I think you could random number generator a comp with at least some idea behind it, and these guys could execute it well. No matter what they're doing, they can catch you off guard. They have insane individuals, and that's why you can never count this team out, no matter if they're playing great or struggling back home.
Yeah, it really is a testament to how this PRX team has kept and maintained their identity for such a long time. But let's go ahead, though, and jump back over to Mika Fab. She's standing by with something.
Hey, something. Oh, listen to that crowd. You are back for another Champions, and it's against G2. So does this feel like it's unfinished business from straight from Masters past, and they're kind of guarding the gate to your Champions run?
It's kind of sad the last time how we lost to them, but this time I think we prepared enough to try to win them, so let's see.
All right. Well, the crowd is hyped to see us. I'm hyped to see it as well. Good luck.
A man of few words, but he expresses himself perfectly fine when he takes to the server and dominates people all the time. The shots, this dude is unbelievable. So I have no doubt in my mind that they've put in that work, but this is going to be a tough one without a doubt. Good thing for them, though, is that they're able to lean on a lot of the shooters on that team. One guy in particular, Jing, who we thought we were not going to see him for a little while, but he's back, he's here, and he's competing. And when Jing gets activated, Mimi, it is scary to go up against him.
The last time we saw him play on a champion stage was probably one of the most emotional matches we've watched in Valorant, making it to the final there with the expectation that his national service would take him away from competing for upwards of a year afterwards. He ended up having medical issues that exempted him from that national service, and he came back into Pacific this year when no one expected he would, and he kicked off right where he left off, playing some incredible Valorant. The guy continues to be an absolute talent, and I feel like it's such a blessing for the game that we get to see him continue to play at a tier 1 level in VCT.
Yeah, and I mean, he's had a couple moments where teams have been able to get the better of him, but for the most part, that firepower has been very reliable from him. But of course, I'd be remiss to not mention Devai as well as another steady hand there on that team. He's been putting in so much work throughout this entire year, throughout their entire careers as a team together. People always say, like, oh, he's the unsung hero. We don't talk about Devai enough. I've been talking about this guy nonstop because he is incredible, but I have to continue doing so.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. There's really, you could take any of these players on this team and speak just so positively about them because of all the success that they've managed to find. And now what they want to do is turn that into a trophy. This team is an uncrowned king, if you will. They want to try and lift this trophy. They got to make it happen here. Let's see if that's the case. But earlier on in the show, we asked you guys about our MasterCard fan poll, who will be our first 2-time champion, potentially. And you all said Icebox, which I think is funny because by relation, it would also be Calm.
No, absolutely. Calm's not gonna do it. It'll only be Icebox. They're actually Grand Finals Map 5. You know,
They're gonna play
you've lost your spot.
Yeah. They're gonna play 4v5, and Icebox is just gonna, or he's gonna multi-box.
Yeah, just dying to get up and then go to the other side.
Besides just voting for Icebox because Icebox, I do legitimately think that Leviathan is the roster with the best chance out of those teams. They're at least the highest expectations to maybe win a trophy, and it would be amazing to see Icebox win 2 Champions trophies and to see Calm go back-to-back.
That's right. Well, here are your predictions for today. And this one, you can tell no one knows where to go, where the chips land. But I do find it quite hilarious that outside of Mitch, everyone has kind of aligned in their regions, if you will.
Yeah, I mean, granted, you know, we would also have Paperton backing us up, I'm sure, but he is off today. But, you know, we got it. This is, again, such an anomalous team. We never know what to expect from them. You have to suspect that they have been prepping hard. They're not a squad that's going to sit back, rest on their laurels, not getting Brack in. These are guys that are going to be diving in and have been screaming every single day since that elimination from the lower final.
Yeah, but you also know on the other side, G2 Esports, I mean, they're going to be prepped, ready to go here, Mimi.
Absolutely. I think that's their biggest strength, coming in with prep work, coming in with the counter strat to what their opponent does. PRX is a good team to adapt and come up with new things for every match, but I think once you've played this team once, that shock factor disappears a little bit, even if they are coming up with new, exciting comps. But either way, this is going to be a tough match.
Oh, I couldn't agree more, and it's time to get the show started. G2 versus PAPERX, EDG versus Foot. Day 4 at Champion Seoul starts right now.
Net bir favori yok bence. Herkes kazanabilir. O yüzden
EDG zaten ilk rakibimiz. EDG'yi
kazanırız.
İnşallah kazanırız.
Zaten 2 sezondur da Çin'i domine eden takım. Yani tabii ki de Regional'ın en güçlü takımı.
Kolay olmayacak.
Evet, kolay olmayacak. Hiç maç kolay olmayacak bu saatten sonra ama.
Zaten. Ama ben bize bakınca bizi daha üstün görüyorum. Ne yalan söyleyeyim. Gerçekten.
Benim bir lafım var biliyorsunuz. Yani büyük konuşan büyük yer. Onun için şunu yapacağız, böyle yapacağız demek istemiyorum.
Şampiyon olmaya.
Şampiyon olmaya diye. 1, 2, 3. Şampiyon olmaya.
Hadi bakalım.
人生的目标就是一直需要精益求精。就在东京大师赛的时候的感受，可能更多就是受宠若惊吧，因为得到了太多人的一瞬间的一些关注。我觉得最困难的瞬间应该是上海大师赛输的那一次吧。
It's kind of tragic to see EDG go home this early.
就想无所谓了，反正都已经这样了，所以说我们就只能在首尔好好打。
In 21, I was more all over the place, like I can do whatever I want. But now I want to play with the team. I'm improving as a person.
以前打得好的时候都是 underdog， 因为今年前2次都没有当 underdog， 这次就当个 underdog 吧。
EDG beat us when I played in Navi in 2023 in Tokyo. I want to take revenge.
我觉得现在可能更多是一个很有创造力，然后很大胆一个选手吧，而他可能会找到很多相似的人，但是我可能只有一个。
When I was in Tier 2 grinding, I've always watched people compete at Champions, I watched people win Champions, and I never had the opportunity to actually step foot on the stage myself. This time around, I'm in the position to compete.
The fact that we got G2 is kind of like fate to meet them. It didn't go in our way, but we could change that.
I know they're looking for revenge. This time around, I don't think it's going to be any different.
For us, I think we just have to find a balance to become W gaming sometimes and to not become W gaming.
PAPERX, right now we're 1-1. You beat us in Reykjavik, we beat you in Shanghai, and now it comes down to the decider at Champs.
If we could be the world champion, the sacrifices that we had to make, I think means everything.
PRX. G2.
I hope you're all ready for a battle because these two teams are going to bring it. They've met each other before in competitions just like this in the past, and each and every time it's been a fireworks display, and I'm expecting the same thing this time around, Mimi.
This is the game to settle the score. The first global event for this G2 core. They lost to PRX, went home early. They got their revenge the last time we saw them at an international, and now here at Champions, it's the one that matters
Rubber
most.
band match. You love to see it. Oof, and here is your series layout. Icebox, Lotus, and Bind.
Icebox is an interesting one to me. I was a little surprised to see PRX picking into that one because it's been a solid map for them, but it's one of the most normal maps for them. They're just playing like kind of the old school Jet Sage KO look here.
I think the other big surprising thing is it wasn't them picking the Lotus. That's something that they have felt very comfortable on, but G2 say, okay, you're gonna take Icebox. We're gonna go at you on Lotus, that map that you have been relying on so very much.
And I'm gonna be real, not to lean back into the, oh, this comp isn't perfect and I'm gonna freak out thing, but the no Sentinel Lotus comp, I'm not that sold on it. I think these slow attack side teams with really good mid-rounding, like G2, can exploit a lot of the gaps in that composition, even if it has the fireworks with the neon, with the jet kind of stuff there.
When I look at this series layout, though, I do have to say it looks good for G2. I feel like Icebox, solid for that team. Lotus, solid for that team. Bind,
I mean, Bind feels like a big advantage to them at the end there.
Yeah, it really does. But Seth, I know you're going to give me the counter opinion.
Look, there are some concerns to have here. Icebox, that was where the 100 Thieves incident happened over and over again, frankly, for the side of PRX. Lotus was that second map, that first one rather, that G2 was able to take PRX down on when they faced off against each other. But we see here that there are going to be some adjustments as Forsaken's going to be flipping over onto this Sova.
Yeah, I'm a fan of it. I've never really seen the value of the KO over the Sova on this map. I think that drone is kind of an invaluable tool to have, although kind of playing exploitatively against the Harbor comp. I don't think it's bad, but overall, good adjustment here. G2 is one of the few teams sticking to the Harbor Viper ideas. They changed to that recently and beat Leviathan on this map. I think they look really good with it. I was impressed with how well Valyn was playing on the Harbor.
I'm curious to see how practice this Sova looks. It's not something Forsaken has played much of in his career, something around 20 games worth.
That's right. Well, let's go ahead and jump into the action, shall we? And all that's left to do, send it over to your casters. It's my BFFs from EMEA. You got Mitch and Tom on the call.
Thank you, buddy. Yes, it's time to get on into this matchup. PRX and G2. It's going to be hype. You've heard from the desk theories about it being a mismatch in style. What's your take on that, Tom?
The thing is, I feel like you can go into so many games with PRX and go, it really doesn't seem like their style's going to match up. And then they win 13-3 and you're going, okay then, like that's just how it is. They've come into this tournament, you kind of look at them and you're going, okay, they're not where they've been over the last year or so. Like you go back to last year, this was a team that was basically dominating Pacific, got to the finals of Champions, and it's been a slow, seemingly decline, but at any moment you always feel like this team can come back. For G2, it has been an accelerated rise. Like, you wouldn't think that this was a team coming in from Ascension, and now, well, they're one of the contenders.
Well, they absolutely are. G2 have looked fantastic, and even within Americas, they made the whole run all the way to the grand finals without dropping a series. This is a squad that PRX definitely can't underestimate, and well, if Mimi's right, and the matchup in style is going to be different, could give the edge over to that G2 squad. Attack side to start it out here on Icebox, and a slow push up to the A site. Spike waiting outside B. They're just taking space, contesting for some of those angles. PRX yet to react.
Well, that's the thing. The defensive side for PRX, at least on A, it's that brawly old school style. You got the Sage, you got something. They're just looking for fights. They're looking to try and battle. And this ruse has already been sold. There was only one defender, more of a retake setup for PRX, and I'll be honest with you, I think they're going to have to retake.
Yeah, there's not much of a choice here. Even the spam's not going to yield much if they were to go for them. Instead, grouping up, the blob play, just leaving something to go through the kitchen, while the rest look for the site control. Now G2 have their post plans. Nobody sent out to mid just yet, but I see Valyn checking the flank, and perhaps that'll be late flank indeed. He's on his way. The timer starts ticking now for PRX to get on that spike and start the defuse. Back yellow fight is the main point of contention, still being held onto by Leaf, getting closer to block that defuse around the wall, and they're dropping bodies all over the place, only left to Divide, and he's quickly shut down. Valyn's made it through on the flank, but the time's already gone. It's 1-0 for G2.
Yeah, it's not the greatest start either. But when you look at it from PRX, like this is a composition for G2 that you really don't want to allow them to get into those post plants. Like the whole setup is you don't have that duelist because you have tons of utility to get you in and then plenty to get you out. And obviously the idea from PRX is try and use the wall to your advantage, but you can see G2 are more than happy to re-aggress. And this is a round where they're low on utility as well. Like you're not going to have those major investments as you'll see in future rounds. It's only going to get more and more difficult for the side of PRX, the more economy advantage we see for G2. Early days though, I'm going to see some investment back into a few pistols. Again, a stack up on the A site, expecting the pressure to be there, and well, I think Divide might have been spotted by the dragon.
Yeah, he popped up on the mini-map, nice and easy. Leafs even managed to find Jing, but at the cost of his life, still just a pistol lost, while they take control on the other side of the map and get the plant down. Again, we're going to see the post-plant setup and the dangers of this round. Often you will see a bit of a danger if someone like Jing is still alive to put the wall down. Potentially, they can get a decent amount of ground on the defuse. We've certainly seen that in EMEA a couple of times. But
tank.
Yeah, Natonk. And on or under the wall, he's just as effective. But for PRX, they don't have that option. And so it's going to be a pretty difficult time trying to do anything in the way of damage. Something's made it up behind, though, and he might be able to drop a few weapons. A few nice shots with Trent down, and another to Jonah P. This is getting quite costly for G2. And something didn't look to be stopped anytime soon, but Valyn steps in. Still, 2 rifles carried forward. That's decent damage for PRX.
Yeah, no, that's really not bad, especially out of so little. Him being able to do that much damage. He's a couple away from a Blade Storm, immediately going to invest straight into the Outlaw, which, again, I think if there's going to be win conditions, you're always going to look at the individuals on PRX. Like, they're a team that a lot of the time they're talking about the idea of rolling without an IGL. Like, you know that it's going to come down to those individual fights. If this man can start off strong, there's been so many highlights. Like, I think of even like the first week he played Jet on this map. He had one of the craziest like Blade Storm plays you've ever seen in your entire life. So you always have to watch out. And for G2 in this round, there is going to be a piece missing. Of course, it's the 3 rifles. If you lose one, you're only going to have those extra couple brought back up. Not going to overinvest. But they do have themselves Thrash, the only ultimate that will be available in this round, unless, as said, something gets a couple of extra kills.
Well, Harbor's using all his utility to clear out these angles. They've gained space, but towards A, poking and prodding the bear, trying to see where the aggression was coming through. They found out the hard way. The Outlaw was posted up. Mid-push from PRX. A very late flank attempt by Jonah P. Better find value because Valyn's gone down through the spams. And now, PRX gearing up for a retake. Just 2 players defending around that angle. Still the Killjoy utility on, so it's not like Jonah P is going to get a free fight onto these guys unaware.
Unless they go too far.
Yeah, it might just be out of range right about now, but the problem is there's no one else left to draw their eye. It's only Jonah P. And, well, his chances of stopping this diffuse are anyway. 0.
Like, even though the utility had gone offline, when you have 5 players alive and only 1 on the other side, you start to make the realization of where that player is. For G2, okay, you would have wanted to do a little bit of extra damage, but they can hold the rifle and they're going to be able to buy into this next round. That is the thing, though. You go towards the A site, as long as something's there, which you will be in most rounds, you're going to have to challenge him. You're going to have to fight him, and I believe that was just low shields in this round for Leaf, so something that, again, they're going to have to keep in mind for future. But I don't mind what PRX are doing at the moment. Even though, as said, it's always going to be tough to play those retakes if the weaponry's online and if G2 have all their utility. They're basically just relying on, okay, can we spam someone down? Because they aren't really using much to sort of protect that player.
Well, early game plan's going to be a little bit of scouting coming in from Thrash. Gone back around to the back of Yellow, so nice and easy to retrieve that.
Look how far up they are.
Yeah. Big push from PRX. They've gone through A main, starting to make that flank come through, and there could be a fight in the moment with Leaf. He's gone back to put his trap in play, and his alarm bot does cover all the angles. He's sticking around as well to try to execute. It's going to be a tough fight, though. Something and Jing hot on his tail.
Now they know. Immediately, Thrash is going to be utilized, and you can see something almost trying to bait it out, but instead it's going to be Jing caught. Can he try and defend him? No, he can't. Both players eliminated. And now the rest trying to wrap around the site. Jonah P, good position, tries to use the timing, but goes down. But again, those trades are immediate from the G2 side. The fundamentals looking strong, and Valyn looking even stronger. 3-1, immediate response. And I feel like PACIFIC is going to have to change things up because they are allowing that plant down every round on B.
Yeah, I mean, the idea here, you're trading out the early plant for the early flank. It's not a bad trade-off just for the fact that there's a Thrash available and that they use it so quickly and get it right into the correct position. The player up close is the one caught, and the fight initiated on the one further back. And once you eliminate something in Jing, well, the round gets a whole lot easier. 3-1 for G2, a solid start. Now a big challenge, though. Round 5 sees PACIFIC still investing, and with no shields, something's pulled out the operator. Glass cannon, it's a risk, but it just might pay off.
He could have just played Blade Storm as well, so it really does show the faith he has in that gun. But he went over to the B site early. They tried to make that adaptation. They tried to catch G2, but instead they put early pressure in onto the A site. A mid lurk as well from Jonah P, looking to try and take space, although it does seem like they have eyes in the form of the turret and in the form of a player not too far away.
Oh, I think that was through the orb. The orb was up when that spam came in and through a wall as well.
He's broken it for his teammates so that Jonah P can take the space. Like, maybe they consider that someone could have already crossed, but you can see that on the other side, Forsaken is watching mid. He's keeping an eye on it, but he has no idea that somebody's already in kitchen.
Yeah, you're expecting that cross to be the player that was further back, breaking the turret. Now Jing taking down Icy, a good start. Spike on the floor, but there's Jonah P's flank coming into fruition. Devi tries to hold the space. Spike down, and they want to keep that control. Jing's coming in to support up top. It's a big swing and one that works out, leaving Jonah P, the flanker, to do it all. Something gets a second lease of life, and with the off, that might be all he needs, but Jonah P really starting to take a bite out of this round. 20 seconds left, though. Spike quite far away, defended by Devi, and an op on the rotation. A near impossible situation.
Maybe a little bit of an overextension from Jing. There is still a chance if he can quickly find this kill, but I think it's patient from Devi. He actually gets away. Now, there is a chance for him to plant at the back of the site. It's only going to be the sprint straight away, just trying to deny him while Devi, great round from him. He's going to make sure that does not happen.
Got a little bit scary. It really did. He had the opportunities, and there was a moment where something went down, right? He's 26 HP. One more bullet landed precisely. He could have been out of the game, and then that 1v1 might have even been taken on the spike. But the round ultimately falls into the hands of PACIFIC, 3-2. Wow. Jing was lucky to avoid that in the first place.
Yeah, I think good ultimate from Forsaken. Managing to cause sort of some disruption while Jing goes to swing. And then also the fact that he escapes. Because I think Jing is almost immediately traded out from that mid lurk. And that is, again, something that G2 are doing very well, is just selling false information. Like breaking that turret from a player further back, a clear plan to give space.
Turret up top. Did it see him? Well, it doesn't matter. Something's got the kill anyways. It was broken from further back. A nice setup for PACIFIC. And then they fill in the space. You know they're not likely to challenge that a second time. The push-up, though, it's going to be a little risky. Something's being surrounded on all sides. Jing's kept control over main, but they've lost the site itself. A nice kill by Mindfreak makes this a little bit more competitive. G2 down and out. Icy's the last man standing. 1v4, 5 HP on Mindfreak. That's probably the only thing we can look to as a positive. He's got some utility. That'll buy him some time. The wraparound up towards heaven. And they still think that he's pretty close. The alarm bells should be ringing, and now, well, now they've got the information on exactly where he is. Got to deal with this guy, but a double swing should put him in the ground. It's a little early for Mindfreak, but he hits the shot.
This guy is popping up in this round again. I feel like there were players getting caught out by the Reckoning, like forced out of position. The G2 players knew exactly where they were, but they're just hitting their shots. Like Mindfreak does very well to have that aggressive push initially, a fallback that still catches the player mid. And again, I don't necessarily mind the adaptation from G2. It's like, okay, they take an aggressive B control. Let's try and quickly split through mid. But it seemed like even though that control had been given up, PACIFIC were very aware. And wow, Mindfreak just playing with absolute confidence. Don't expect anything else.
Well, yeah, at this stage especially. Something as well with the early picks. He's been up there. You can see the reality behind that operator buy, why they wanted to go for it so early on with the light shields. Good setup in the last towards B. Now an opportunity for him on the A side. Early aggression coming out. All pushing up, covered by Jing yet again. Always has that second man behind him, but the wall's going to concede the space. They fall back, set up for another pick. Good space taking.
The guns, it has to be a faster pace take. Yeah, Jonah P's the only one that actually has a rifle. They haven't spotted him. He's got way too far, but it's only going to be the one. And now the rest, well, an immediate res to bring another back from the fray.
Now the shorty kill as well. Something farming them up. It's Icy left alone. Again, a 1v5 this time, and not one he'll find. But a little mistake from PRX. Probably good they got it out of the way in this round, but Divide moves out of range of that alarm bot, and at just the right second, someone walking past it. And Jonah P's flanks have been definitely something that's going to get in the back of PRX's head if it keeps up.
Yeah, I think the only thing that's unfortunate for the side of G2 is that's now 2 rounds that's happened. Again, maybe at some point you'll see it mentioned if there's a pause or something like that.
Yeah.
But they've not won either of the rounds.
Yeah.
Like, and that's going to be frustrating because you've had the right timing, you've had the moment to get the space, but the reactions of PRX are so fast. You get one kill and it's instant, the response, each time. 4-3. Lead taken by PRX. Something, as said, if this guy's online, it's terrifying. And while Jing's going to push over the top of the poison orb.
It's a double push, yeah. They've got something as well, straight down the tube. We saw him sprinting right at the start of the round. They might be ready for the man up top, but will they wall off something? Yes, they will. Yeah. Sending it out. Ops blocked, rotations are in, and they're crossing that angle for free.
Also, Jing and something are like a package deal. So a lot of the time, if you've seen Jing, then you go, all right, there's probably an operator here. Let's be careful with it. The early rotation, though, from PRX is great. 3 players on this side of the map. Again, they haven't spotted any sort of cross back, and with Thrash about to clear out some of the closer angles, but that's irretrievable now. Can't be utilized again.
Yeah, they've got to get the kills to take the space if that's going to be a factor in the late round, and by then you won't really need it. Mind Freak tucked up close, orb goes up, blocking off that avenue. They're going to go back to the yellow push, and Viper's Pit, yeah, there it is. It's activated, so it's online for both squads. Curious to see if Jonah P's going to decide to activate his with a lockdown in play to push them out of the pit.
Mind Freak stay.
Take the space. No, he's out of here. And I think the pit's going to drop because of it.
Yeah, I don't think there shouldn't be enough time for him to get back into that, so that's actually huge. Removing that from play. There's a lockdown on the other side. This is just what I like to call an observer's nightmare. Ultimates being used all over the shop. We're going to get the third person as now they do what was done to them, but I do believe just with the corner, you might be able to hold on to this ultimate, and I feel like G2 are going to try and do that.
They are, but you could see the pings from PRX. They want to compete for that back angle. Haven't had any success. Jing, something, Forsaken, all falling. Icy's having a round, and now with the pit still standing, there's no chance. Surely, PRX likely to head for the hills. Maybe looking to stick around and make this a bit more costly and eventually delete their enemy of Icy. Pick up the operator and look to save it. Being challenged on the way, though, there's no free escape with Devi falling. The op will not be carried through to the next, and this has been a costly round for the side of PRX with G2 equalizing.
Yeah, I like the way that was played by G2. I feel like that was a game of chicken. Like, you had a couple of ultimates in play, either side using basically exactly the same thing, and just having their lockdown to remove the pit, putting it in a place where they had to fully retreat, but then being able to hold on to their own because of the space that hadn't quite been taken, and making sure that there was defense outside of the pit to make sure that nobody could really get that move. 4-4. Economy, although damaged, not broken, and there will still be an operator for something, and we've already seen that when he's in position, when he's able to be put into play, which I think he will be here, things are much, much tougher for the opponents.
Well, G2 are wasting no time in the A main control, sending Jonah P out to the B site. No surprise, he's on the lurk. The success, he's had a lot of success, but whenever he does, like you say, Tom, the main push is always the one that fails. Jonah P does well here, lighting Mind Freak down to 46, but fails to get the kill on the jump peak, and the rotation's on its way. They're focused on the B site. Well. PRX seem to have an idea that this is where it's coming through. You see the shift from Devi. He's closer by now in Kitchen to help out.
Jing trying to keep his teammates safe from information, but the Dizzy likely going to do that. The immediate swing. Mind Freak still gets one, and now trying to play over the top of the site. Leaf picks him out of the air. It's an angle that I feel like a lot of players would miss. but not Leaf. And now the retake's looking tough.
Yeah, it absolutely is. The numbers against them, and there it is. Thrash was online, activated now. Valyn tucked down below, manages to catch Deviant something off guard. And there's no need for any further aggression from this G2 side. Forsaken's out of here to try to save, but they've already got him boxed in. Like you said, Tom, Leaf right up behind him. Whoop, the timing, he might actually have seen the barrel there. Yeah, now he's got a good idea, but well,
okay.
That's one way to do it. The lead back in G2's hands, 5-4. Attack side really heating up.
Yeah, looking like a very competitive game at the moment. Now for, I think both of these squads, a lot of the time when they've had big success, it has been on that attacking side. So I don't think PRX is going to be too worried about this just yet, especially having that additional duelist. I am starting to think, though, how many times we've already seen that Thrash available. Like, they have been farming that up on Icy. It's been used so many times throughout this, and the impact it has just being able to clear a lot of those close angles early on. It means that the pacing of G2's takes just goes through the roof. And it's one thing I would actually quite like to see a PRX attempt to run in the future, because I think that the Gecko in particular on this map is so ridiculously strong, and you already have the likes of Something who has shown that he can use it to an incredibly high degree. I will say some of the angles he's taken he wouldn't be able to get to if he wasn't playing the Jet, but I don't know. I still see there might be more value in it for him.
Yeah, it's curious as well how quickly, and you saw in the replay, I didn't hear what he was saying, but I have an idea. Leaf seemed very happy to have picked Jing out of the air. And yesterday, I think it was yesterday, right on Ascent, how many times did we see that Sage Wall up in main? It caught so many players off guard. And that's a bit more of an unusual one to see in play. Yeah. So fair play to Leaf for reacting after just a few shots coming this way. PRX had a timeout here discussing what they want to do, but this is a very, very light buy from them. Some Guardians in play, couple pistols. I expect a much more direct defensive side aggression to start this one off.
I feel like they've gone for a lot of early A control throughout this game, and it's not really been met by anything. It's a lot more passive from the side of G2, and obviously a lot of the goal is just to try and collect the orbs. I don't think they're going to be able to get the one on the B site, though, because G2 have been, again, very heavy on the B lane. A lot of the time when it's gone in the other direction, it's been lower purchases. They just have an incredibly clean B execute and post plant, and they are abusing it.
Look at how cautious G2 are being. Playing early, we saw on the A site, PRX took the control for free, like you said, and they grabbed themselves an orb. But G2 do just the same. Now pump the brakes, stand in a firing squad, a little bit of danger on the push, but it's dealt with immediately. Forsaken, able to step up for one. Second shot not going to land, and 64 HP. He's out of here with the Sheriff. Rotation off the A site leaves Jing alone, but he is tucked down below. An uncouth position. One Leaf has to be cautious of, but he was watching it as the peek comes in. Now Jing tagged low. At least get himself a little bit of a heal and drop Leaf. Okay.
This I don't think the heal played any part in that.
No, not at all. It got him back to 76 in the end, but they're set up in a decent position.
Yeah, both Hunter's Furies online now as well. Forsaken got it from getting that extra kill. If he can be disruptive here, that would be nice. The spot comes in from Something. Dizzy not going to play a part, and now there goes that Hunter's Fury from the flank. It's not really going to do too much, but the time is an issue. 15 seconds now for the side of G2 to try and make their way in towards the site. Up above, it seemed like Jing may not have been paying attention, didn't hear the sounds, and even though it comes super late in the round, they're going to get that plant.
This is not a comfortable anti-eco, but they've managed to make it work. 3 versus 1. Forsaken known to be behind. He threw out a dart a moment ago. Had his Hunter's Fury. Nice shot to start it, but
wheel
jumped a little too soon. 6-4 now. G2, 2-round lead. Chance to extend it even more before the half is over.
Yeah, I think they're definitely going to want to do that. We've seen them like not too long ago still have some struggles on this map, but it was normally the attack side when they played versus Lev that looked decent. So I think they're going to want to try and extend that to an 8-4 lead. And as I said, like PRX on the attack, you've always got to be careful. But it has seemed that over the last few rounds, a lot of the early success they were having, had the Something Jing show of those aggressive pushes. I think G2 have done well to adapt, take a lot of early map control. You can even see it now, throwing early flashes. They want to try and make sure that there's no angle that Something could just be sat on with an operator. And well, for now, he's back on the rifle. And again, it seems like every time we have the early aggression from PRX. They're a little bit unlucky because they're always on the wrong side of the map.
Yeah, they've pushed up on B this time, ready for any aggression out of G2, but players are going to be spotted outside of A. Maybe just the one scene, no. It's not a ton of information to work with. They're conscious of the flank that's been coming through relatively consistently. And the push up now on B. Well, the wall actually slows them down. That utility from Valyn has bought them a few valuable seconds. It's got the rotations off of A as well. A is wide open, barring a little bit of Killjoy utility. And now that they think there could be a play towards the B side, Divide toyed with the idea of pushing mid. Luckily he didn't, because Jonah P was waiting as always.
But also it would have taken as a alarm bot down if we went too far. So at least they'll get that extra little piece of information. Now have the players in at the right time. Something though, again, it seemed like he was caught off guard, maybe waiting for a slightly later push off the back of the Reckoning instead. Another easy post plant. And Jonah P's just waiting, watching, knows that right now the flank is clear, even has support from Trent. It's going to be a very one-dimensional retake from PRX.
He's heard the steps, but he knows that turret's still online. That's going to be a problem. Has to break it and give it away, but in comes the Hunter's Fury, taking down Forsaken. Divide falls too. They eventually deal with the flank they knew was coming, but there's still so many more to drop. There's Jing on the Icy. A chance now. Life breathed back into the side of PRX, but look, right down below, a sneaky spot from Leaf that gets his third of the round. That may well be the final nail in the coffin of this. With Jing left alive, time ticking away, and he just has to save that weapon, run for the hills, and concede a 7th to G2. A strong lead for the attacking side, and it isn't over yet.
Yeah, and also even just the casualties are meaningless. There's so much economy left for G2 that they can toy with their opponents in the late round. But no, it has just been, I feel like there's been some stellar positioning from the side of G2 when it's needed most. Like, we spoke about those lurks, but Leap here just playing a patient game. Something that, to be honest, he was seen. So they knew that he was around there, but I guess assuming that he'd fallen back for the late round post plant.
Yeah.
And now, well, with the extra kills he got in that round, one away from a lockdown, something I'm sure they're going to want to try and get online. In fact, already challenging early for the orb, but I was going to say it's gone all right until the extra swing in. Valyn again.
Doesn't need the orb either, does he? Leaf's got his ult online from that pick. Yeah, that looked really good. The staggering utility from G2 pushed PRX back. They decided to stick around in the choke point, which is often a mistake, but they won the fight despite the util being thrown their way. But now the fact that Leaf got that pick, has the ultimate to work with, it's going to buy so much time. And then you've got to root these players out of position. Trent still has a shock dart to work with. I believe there's a nano on the spike alongside an alarm bot. This is going to be a very difficult round, as it has been for PRX in all of these retakes. This one feels that little bit more stacked against them. Shock dart, the one to find the kill, and Device looking the wrong way into heavy traffic. 8-4. This has been a stellar first half from G2, and PRX better hope their attack can make up the gap.
Yeah, no, I think there was a bit in the middle where we had some sort of good disruptive play coming out of the likes of PRX, but G2 the last few rounds just stabilized, slowed things down, had these really good takes, so I think it's going to be a tough second half. We'll see if PRX can turn it after the break.
Oh, come on. Trade in any phone in any condition guaranteed and get $800 off the new Galaxy Z Fold 6. Only on Verizon.
Red Bull gives you wings.
Welcome back. Well, if you weren't with us before the break, you missed 5 straight rounds from G2 on the attack. PACIFIC tried their best to disrupt, but it's them that have been left in the dirt. Now for G2, a defensive side start to the second half, and, well, they've got quite a lead. A pistol here. It may just be into the home stretch. The pressure is on if you're a PACIFIC fan.
Well, it's dangerous as well because this is the map choice of PACIFIC. I don't think they'll feel too uncomfortable going into Lotus. Like, it's been a strong map for them recently. I think Jing's Neon is something that always enjoyable to watch, but ultimately you're not going to want to lose your own map choice at the beginning of the day. And I think they're going to have a very strong attack side. Now, they normally do. As said, when they win this map, you're looking at, as said, I think 10-2 attack halves versus the likes of DFM, even DRX, the prior time to last. And a lot of this comes off the back, well, the 2 players we've just witnessed, Jing and Forsaken. Jing and Something. A terrifying duo on the entry. But just look at already the aggressive stance that has been taken by G2 in mid.
Yeah, they're looking for the triple push off the back of the contact from Trent. And they're even hearing some of the steps that went around towards A main. Some information there. We'll see how quickly they get on that flank. The retake setup, though, certainly in play. You can see Leaf is just backing off, conceding this space. And in fact, the flank abandoned after breaking the turret. Now look to play this as a more conventional retake. Wall buys a little bit of time, and the plant should be in. Shock dart, though, for damage.
They have so much plant denial a lot of the time on the side of G2, but now it's going to be utilized for the retake. One man still hidden in the corner, and he strikes. Mind Freak with a couple. Jing steps up with another, and in fact, he gets 2 himself. But it's left onto Trent. You wouldn't want anyone else in a clutch, and although he's low, he's almost taken him down. The shock dart may even kill off Jing, but it doesn't matter. It will be a last-second shot that ends up giving PACIFIC a much-needed pistol round.
Well, that came very close. Travel time of that arrow, all that made the difference. But it's enough. PACIFIC take the pistol, and this is a much-needed win. An injection of rounds early on, at least if they can manage to convert in the follow-up that they needed to close the gap after that first half. 5 rounds in a row before this for G2. Finally, we see a stall out to that momentum.
Yeah, I think important that they get that job done for this one. Get themselves back into the map, and it looks like the defensive side are almost trying to sell confusion here. They've got the Viper screen combining with the Harbor Wall. The thing is, it seems like PACIFIC, similarly to the last round, are just happy to play around their opponent's utility, like almost use it to their advantage. It's whether or not they can abuse the gaps more than their opponents can.
I mean, they've taken a big gamble. The turret is watching the back, but they're committing 5 players after making all this noise. The stack up is there from G2, but it doesn't seem to matter. They're being shredded on the site. With 1 man behind that wall, soon to fall, it's Icy down and Leaf to do it all. Let's see if he can find a 1v5 with a classic. No, what a surprise. 3 kills from Something. Big round for him, farming up some orbs, and a solid one without a single player falling for PACIFIC.
Yeah, and the thing is, they invested in with 4 rifles. So normally you're expecting, okay, maybe you can afford to lose a couple of players. In that case, they couldn't, but they kept it so ridiculously clean. Didn't really struggle at all. Orbs kind of spread across the board, which obviously it's nice in the future, but right now will be a little bit more frustrating. But then they brought back up with an Outlaw as well. Like, we see this quite often, having that lurking player just being able to hold down mid, watch anybody who's trying to push on the A site. For now, though, it's an important round for G2 because they lose this bonus, and it's a strong bonus. They're right back in the game. He's just full sprint. He's just okay, this W gaming. How could I forget?
Yeah, well, in case you needed a reminder, there it is. Man's lost his shift key. We'll see if he finds it soon. Running back down the tube. He's been hurt. Leaf has a vague idea, but look at the commitment from G2 to re-clearing out in kitchen. Player right down below him, and well, I mean, Something is just playing an unhinged style here. He gets shot in the back, but it's just a tickle. And that actually spurs him forward to look for another fight. Jonah P. all around B while the A side's taken.
They're so focused on him. They're so focused looking at him that in the meantime, they've just walked into the site and planted the spike. Like, you can't blame them. When a guy is running around like a lunatic, you go, okay, I should keep an eye on him. And you need to still keep an eye on him. There was a pixel there that maybe he could find something. Even spotting players around mid. They should know that he's still here. But it seems like they're just relying on this wall, the turret. Is he going to get past it? He is. He's past the turret. And now just going in behind them. Only the one so far, but they have to deal with this man. The whole round has been about dealing with something.
They haven't even seen anyone else. Getting towards the spike, sure, but the guy's still behind them, spraying away. Now the fight up in front. Okay, something falls, so too does Divide, but Spike not even half just yet. The sprays are good. Mindfreak gets another and a triple to close it out. All eyes were on something, but it's Mindfreak that pulls off the magic.
Yeah, a Red Bull clutch that was high impact for sure. But it is just, again, one of those rounds that you're going to look back on and go, well, they didn't forget about him, but it was like you forgot who he was, like what he was going to be doing. There was so many moments in that round where you just think, even though he doesn't get like the triple kill, he doesn't get the multi-frag, there was so little time left that it almost just became panic stations for the rest of the team because they're so focused on killing one guy. And of course you are, it's the solo Jet running down mid. Well, you're not going to expect him to be alone.
I haven't seen someone play like that in a long time outside of rank. Hello, early fight. Valyn's not going to get anything, but Divide goes down. Early flank underway. Turret's much more passive, so Leaf will get pretty close. Not close enough to actually take anyone down. He could. Oh, of course. Divide's the one that fell right away. So yeah, he's able to make it all the way up, making it into heaven, grabbing himself a weapon, and now a serious danger down below. He's got something. The res is right above. It's free for Leaf. Already a phenomenal round, and he's looking for more. Mindfreak has to do it again. This time a 4K against Pistols, but he's 30 HP.
Oh, we talk about forgetting about something. I think they forgot the turret was down. He got so much space. Mindfreak might get an isolated 1v1, but now the Sheriffs, well, we normally talk about hitting a headshot. They definitely don't need that. Body shot will do the job. He's trying to sell the idea that he's pushing into the A site, but that idea has not been sold whatsoever. And while Jonah P's going to hit the headshot anyway, the MasterCard Thrifty will be what brings a round onto the board for G2. And well, it's a massive oversight for PRX.
Oh, huge. The fact that Divide's first to die is unfortunate, like you said, dropping the turret, his position, given a free weapon down below. The fact that the res goes in up top, just as something dies, they panic to try and cover Divide so he doesn't die a second time, and that ends up giving a flurry of frags over to Leaf. Now 15 and 11. And one away from a lockdown. G2 have a lot of high-value ultimates coming online. Same can be said for PRX here on the attack, though. This is where everything's going to be decided, 9-7. The gap either going to close or be extended massively by G2 here. Credits down to the last for PRX.
Yeah, it's done a lot of damage. The only thing that's going to pad the gap is the Viper's Pit. By having a Stinger in a pit, absolutely fine. So they need to get into the afterplan. Look how quick G2 are already moving around that flank. They're in the spawn already. But by the time they get there, the post plant will be set. This time, turret should be available to give them the information. In fact, Forsaken is already watching, but he has Hunter's Fury. Oh, it's actually got past him, but the flash checks him anyway.
Reckoning going to clear a lot of space here as well. Give away that information. They know exactly where something is. He's stunned up, gunned up. Leaf able for one. Keeping it competitive. G2 3 versus 2. Having to fight through the pit, though, could be the advantage they need. In goes the Thrash, and Mindfreak can't quite dodge it. They know exactly where he is. The pressure is on Jing. He has to cover this man to keep the pit online, to keep the chances there for PRX, and he'll get nothing. Bar the one. G2 now double digits on the board. Pit invested for PRX, and credits are going to be, well, out of reach for a full buy.
Yeah, it's definitely not going to be an ideal scenario. Don't think that's quite... Not sure it works like that.
That's how the finisher goes, but...
Oh yeah, no, beautiful retake, but also the read initially. Like, the flank came through so fast that, although I was a little bit worried, this is the thing that's great about G2 is they're so methodical. They put the Reckoning through and I go, okay, there's a gap. And that gap is where Forsaken is. Flash, just around the corner, just to make sure. It's so clean with making sure that there isn't those gaps left. And while put them into a great position. Still though, Blade Storm, something, mentioned it in the first half. We know what this guy can do with it. Already going to take a lot of early space. They also have the Hunter's Fury as well, so if this can get into the late round, it could get dangerous, but that lockdown's available for the other side.
PRX are so fast. Usually that drone will slow you down a bit, but they just sprint straight at it, taking control over the site, and that gets the lockdown into play. Shock darts to harass the planter, and they're back out of there. Flank was attempted for a moment. G2, though, seemed to have fallen back. Maybe assuming that the lockdown's going to send them in the other direction, but they might not know PRX. This is a team that isn't keen to give up on the A game. Still looking for, well, the A side.
And now that flank starts to adjust again. Clearing in middle, getting all the information. The plant is going to be enabled, and something is desperately looking for someone to give them a fight, because the weaponry's such a huge disadvantage for the rest of the team. Devi at least has a gun, but everything else is going to be those stingers. He just wants to try and get something out of it revealed, but does have support.
Well, that flash sends all the support backwards. Jing's caught, still blinded up. Hunter's Fury goes through, though. Forsaken, able to trade out onto Icy. That gets the push out of Devi. Back and forth the kills go, but it's still G2 with the advantage. If they catch Mind Freak for free, it could be something, but he's freaking out, gliding Leaf down. The defuse already halfway. He's sticking it all the way, and Forsaken had to fight. Valyn, on a sliver of health, gets it across the line with plenty of time left. It's 11-7. The lead for G2 cemented, and they're in the home stretch now.
He's never going to get to use it. He's trying so hard to do the finisher, but never quite gets it done. Always so low on the time, but this must have been just the biggest jump scare ever. 20 HP. It wasn't far away for Forsaken. Well, Alex, and he needs to breathe, needs to get the frustration out, because he's about to talk to the boys. That's what he always says. He's like, I get the frustration out, then I talk to them in a calm manner. Well, they've lost 3 rounds in a row. They're 2 away from losing their own map choice. And he's got to try and come up with something here, because there's been quite a few of these rounds, Mitch, where they haven't been far away. It's just right at the last moment, there's like a really solid flash or some great utility. I think every ultimate that's been used by G2 has been high impact. So I just think they're utilizing what they have slightly better, and I think a lot of that especially comes down to that Gecko. I think Icy has been incredible. Like, his flashes have ruined so many players over on the PRX side. Like, even just think about the beginning of the last retake. I think 3 people were blind by that first flash.
Yeah, you know, I expect to be looking at players like Valyn coming in. Even Leaf, we've seen it in his heyday, but Icy really impressed me in that first half as well. He was putting up numbers, winning out his fights, his supportive utilities being up there as well. And on the side of PRX, like you say, they've been close, and that's the most frustrating part about it. Having it within your grasp and then feeling it slip away. With a 4-round gap, it's now or never. They've got to step it up. And no ultimates online, a res and a lockdown just went away, but G2 come in with the advantage. They have not only the Viper's Pit, but a Hunter's Fury as well, and those ults have been finding impact.
Yeah, as said, I think most of, if not all their ultimates have been super high impact whenever they've put them into play. And well, immediately, we're going to see that Viper's Pit. Try and funnel them in a different direction. Drone yet to be put into play for Forsaken. It also has the dart, so they could opt to try and fight him, but there's always a massive gamble, especially with the position that Jonah P is playing.
I also love the super deep alarm bot that they put in. The shock darts went through to try and deny that utility, assuming that you would be playing that little bit more passive, that it'd be around the choke point, but instead it's further up, just covering Jonah P's left side, if you think about it that way, and he can cover the right. A really nice setup. It's going to leave him in a very favorable fight either way, and if someone touches the alarm bot, Nano goes up, and Jonah can just fall back a little bit and play more passive.
Feels like they're doing exactly what G2 want them to do.
Yeah.
Like, they're fighting for mid control just to make sure they can't split back towards the B site. You got the Hunter's Fury for an attempted plant denial, or to even clear something out on the retake. PRX are doing what they want, but it's whether or not, as always, this team can make it work anyway. It's going to be something looking for those aggressive fights, but I feel like G2 haven't given any of them away. They've been so good at making sure that doesn't happen, and already there's the man advantage.
Almost extended on. That shot just swinging through players, but with Mind Freak down, yeah. Flank is now wide open. PRX don't have any ground to fall back to. They have to fight forward. That's exactly what they're going to try to do. Something in Forsaken, the sprays just avoided. Then G2 go on the push. Forsaken good for 1, but Devi's fallen. The trades are there. Forsaken keeping it alive on the site, but he can't do much from that corner. And the spray, close as it was to a collat, it won't get it done. 12 rounds on the board for G2. 5 chances to close this one out. Lotus up next, and Bind if they need to go all the way. That's a really good safety net for them.
Yeah, but again, you're going into your map choice, and with the preparation that's clearly there for G2. As I said, this round, it looks like they orchestrated it. It literally looked like they handed them a script and said, this is what you're going to do, and PRX went, yeah, all right.
But he even fired a shock dart for default, immediately popped the ult, and then fired it through so it covers as they run away from the shock. So no matter what, you're taking the damage.
Yeah.
You don't have a choice.
And that was all really the goal was. Get an opener, play the retake. They've had such stellar retakes and post plants. 3 retakes in a row now for G2, and they haven't, other than the one with the classic, they haven't had too many problems. There we go, though. The battle for B. I think the expectation was after the A hits, it's going to eventually fall back in this direction. Valyn is in a great spot, if not cleared. He's not been cleared. It's a bit of a mistake, and now he gets to just pounce on the remaining players. Even still, PRX are keeping this one close, and the res actually puts it in their favor.
Yeah, I like the Valyn's just falling back, giving up that space. He'll use his wall to hopefully slow them down. Time won't be bought for the flank, with Leaf still alive. Devi's still alive, pardon. You got the turret up. Leaf wants to flank, but he'll be giving away that information soon. Lockdown in play, gets them the space on the site. Advantage there, damage done to Valyn. This seems to certainly be a favored round for PRX, perhaps the start of the comeback. Shock Dart's good for some damage. A few of these players now lit up.
Ooh, okay, 1 for Leaf, but again, no chance with the trade. Jin gonna heal himself back up, and leaves just a couple standing. Valyn trying to bait them in, but they've put him into a tunnel, and it is a solid round. Forsaken with 3, and PRX, well, they need 4 more.
4 in a row. It's doable. We saw G2 close out the half in just the same fashion. They can hit their stride. But for G2, the other thing is, you take a look at those credits. They're starting to run a little dry. This squad does have Reckoning to work with. No other ultimates close to being online. It looks like a light buy based around the Outlaw. Big fan of this kind of setup. Question is where it's going to be used. And for Leaf, it seems to be a middle peak. He'll have his turret covering it, and they are moving towards him. We'll see if that Outlaw can have the impact. We hear the shots fire, but they don't find their mark.
Nope, not going to be anything. And it's the same again. Okay, nice shot. Someone's been doing their aim training, that's for sure. And even the trade's not looking good. Oh, not like this. This would be the worst way to let a map slip away. In fact, it's even...
What?
It's
a misclick.
Is he just fat-fingered
He's misclicked it. He meant to drone.
Oh, that's just...
Oh,
it's gone horrifically. But Mind Freak just comes out with 3 in a second. This round was looking like it was falling apart, but maybe in the most uncharacteristic way, they might take it anyway. Flank coming in. That's the major danger. And now it's left all onto Jing. It's not been a great round. And now he's under real pressure. The spike is going to take some serious damage. And he's, well, I think he's just got lost in the source. Leaf is going to be there to close out the round. Around the PRX are definitely going to want to forget.
Yeah, I think that's going to be a hard one to forget, though. We'll be talking about that for a while. And MasterCard Thrifty closing out the map 13-8, and G2, they look very strong. That was PRX's map pick, and they had them outclassed, outthought every step of the way. Now we look forward to Lotus, forward to Bind, and think, will they have a chance? Well, we're going to find out after the break.